The movie begins with a man named Sejin, who lives his life completely freely. He claims that his relationships with women don't depend on money, but on the fact that he's charming and knows how to treat them. He constantly talks about his many relationships, insisting that he's always the kind of man women want. The next day, at the gym, Sejin hears an argument between his friend, Kadir, and one of the gym trainers. He approaches them and tries to resolve the conflict. Sejin asks the trainer what Kadir did. The trainer explains that Kadir approached her, made inappropriate comments, and even gave her his card. Kadir denies everything, saying he never made any suggestive remarks and only spoke to her directly to offer friendship. This angers the trainer even more. At this point, Sejin asks Kadir to apologize, but he refuses. So, Sejin tells him to stay quiet and let him handle the situation. Meanwhile, the trainer calls security to have Kadir removed from the gym, but Sejin convinces her to talk privately instead. Sejin tells the trainer to show Kadir some empathy, explaining that his fiancée recently left him and he's emotionally struggling. In that instant, the trainer catches the scent of Sejin's cologne and likes it. Sejin gently whispers that Kadir doesn't know how to treat beautiful women like her, apologizes on his behalf, and kisses her hand. In the locker room, Sejin gives Kadir his most important piece of advice about dealing with women. Let them come to him. Kadir gets upset, saying women see him as a caveman and are afraid of him, but Sejin insists he must change. He tells Kadir to quickly change clothes so they can buy him a new suit. They decide to spend New Year's Eve together at a party. Sejin reminds Kadir to be polite and care about his appearance. A fashion designer named Emil walks by, and Sejin tells Kadir she owns a boutique on one of the city's most luxurious streets, but remains a very traditional woman despite her success. Then they meet a woman named Eileen, who recently divorced and is probably still heartbroken. Kadir loudly comments that Eileen's plastic surgeries were pointless, saying it's obvious from her nose. Sejin keeps coaching Kadir about women, mentioning another woman named Oya, who divorced her husband and received a large settlement. Kadir naively says he wants to ask how much she got, but Sejin stops him, telling him to be polite and compliment her instead of talking about money. Meanwhile, a woman named Sarap sees her husband, Arif, dancing with another woman. Heartbroken, she leaves the party. Elsewhere, an older lady approaches Sejin, compliments his red bow tie, and asks to meet him the next day, wearing the same outfit. As Sejin climbs the stairs, he accidentally bumps into a girl named Nir, who broke her heel. Nir, who knows how to play piano and sing, approaches Sejin when she sees him playing the piano and sings a romantic song for him. After the song, fireworks begin, and Sejin watches in awe. But Nir, surprised, asks if he truly enjoys fireworks. She explains that fireworks kill thousands of birds every year. Sejin responds that fireworks symbolize people's wishes for the new year and are a beautiful way to celebrate. Taking the opportunity, Nir talks about herself and her dreams. She admits she sang at the party hoping people would film her and share the video on social media. Just then, Sarap calls Sejin. He lies to Nir, saying he needs to help a friend, but promises to meet her again in half an hour. Sejin goes to a private room with Sarap. She asks him to look at her with love, but Sejin refuses, reminding her that her husband is at the party. Sarap, upset, says Arif cheats on her in front of everyone, even though he always claims he has back pain. Sejin suggests she get a divorce and free herself, but Sarap says she can't do that because of their daughter, Helia. Sarap begs Sejin to be faithful and belong only to her. When Sejin remains silent, Sarap accuses him of wasting his life for small amounts of money with countless women. This is when we realize Sejin actually gets paid to get close to women. Sejin, trying to calm Sarap, suggests they have a drink and enjoy the night. But Sarap asks why he can't settle for just one lover. She wonders if she's too old or boring for him. Sarap offers Sejin a deal. If he agrees to be her only lover, she'll provide him with a house, a car, and plenty of money. Meanwhile, Nir talks to her friend Helia about Sejin, saying how attractive he is and how different he seems from other men. A few days later, we find out that Sejin accepted Sarap's offer. He prepares dinner for himself and Sarap in his new house when suddenly Kadir shows up to congratulate him. Kadir jokingly asks if Sejin is even human or a golden statue that all women fall in love with. Sejin tells Kadir he needs to leave quickly because Sarap is on her way, but Kadir, impressed by the new house, asks if he can live with him. Sejin agrees, on the condition that Kadir hides when Sarap arrives. When Sarap gets there, Sejin has to force Kadir to leave. Sejin notices Sarap is anxious, so he massages her shoulders to calm her down and asks what's bothering her. Sarap goes on to say that tomorrow is Helia's birthday and she hates everything except music. On top of that, her daughter has a beautiful friend who makes her feel ugly in comparison. So, Sejin introduces Kadir to her, hoping he can get to know Helia. The next day, at Helia's birthday party, Sejin tells Kadir this is the most important mission of his life. He explains how Kadir should approach Helia and even gives him money to buy her a drink. As Kadir heads toward Helia, Sejin leaves and runs into Nir. However, Nir is cold and serious this time. Sejin apologizes for leaving her waiting on New Year's Eve, but Nir says she didn't care that much and actually enjoyed partying and dancing until morning. Sejin apologizes again and promises to make it up to her. Meanwhile, Helia grows uncomfortable as she notices Kadir staring at her from across the room. Kadir finally approaches and introduces himself, but Helia says she had already noticed his constant glances. Kadir awkwardly admits he liked her smile, which is why he kept watching her. Suddenly, Sejin calls out to him, and Kadir realizes he failed to get Helia's attention. But Kadir doesn't give up. He goes to Nir and confesses he genuinely liked Helia's smile and feels he needs to talk to her again. That night, Nir gets on stage and sings, and just like before, Sejin becomes completely captivated by her performance. But just as he's swept away, Sarap calls, and he has to leave the concert. After the performance, Nir searches for Sejin and asks if she sang poorly since he left. Sejin apologizes and says he was just tired. Nir then invites him to share a strawberry cake with her. Sejin claims he's a great cook and could bake her a cake himself, but then suddenly admits he has dark sides to his personality. He says that if Nir knew the truth about him, she would probably hate him. After saying goodbye, he walks home alone, thinking about his difficult childhood when he had to cook for himself because he didn't have a mother. Later, a slightly drunk Nir stumbles on her way home, and Sejin, seeing her struggle, decides to take her to his place. He tells her she can't go home in that state. Nir confesses she's not perfect either and has quirks Sejin might dislike, like her obsession with extra soft pasta and rap music. In the end, Nir asks Sejin to stay with her. She grabs her notebook, writes down the title of a new song, and then falls asleep on Sejin's lap. Sejin eventually falls asleep too, but he has a nightmare that Sarap finds them. The next morning, Sejin wakes up to find Nir gone. He goes after her, only for Nir to admit she's scared of him. Sometimes he's incredibly kind, and other times he seems cold and cruel. When she asks if he's married or in a relationship, Sejin lies and says no, even though he's still secretly involved with Sarap. In the end, Sejin suggests going to the movies with Nir, and she agrees, but on one condition: she gets to choose the movie. After the movie, Sejin drives her home and gives her his number. Meanwhile, Kadir is on a new mission, terrified by the eerie atmosphere of a client's house. He tries to apologize and leave, but the client won't let him go. When Sejin returns home, he's surprised to find Sarap listening to music and dancing. She thanks him for organizing her daughter's birthday party, saying Helia keeps praising him and calling it the best birthday she's ever had. As a gesture of gratitude, Sarap offers to buy Sejin a motorcycle or send him on a trip with Kadir. Sejin thanks her, but says all he wants is a few days of rest. Sarap realizes he's trying to distance himself from her. Before leaving, she leaves an envelope of money for Kadir and tells Sejin that she doesn't want Kadir contacting or seeing Helia again. The next morning, Kadir comes home upset after his failed mission. He tells Sejin he might as well become a hitman. He hates himself and doesn't want to keep living like this. To change the subject, Sejin hands him the envelope and firmly tells him not to contact Helia again. Kadir gets angry, saying Sarap treats him like he's worthless. Meanwhile, Helia talks to Nir, who encourages her to see Kadir again if she likes him. When Sarap overhears their conversation, She warns Helia to keep her relationships with men shallow, reminding her that she's young and should focus on enjoying life. Later, Kadir tells Sejan that Helia likes him and wants to see him again. But when Sarap suddenly shows up, Kadir has to hide. Sarap, sensing someone else is in the house, forces Kadir to come out. She coldly tells him he must follow her orders and stay away from Helia. After Sarap leaves, Kadir asks Sejan why he never told him Helia was Sarap's daughter. Furious and hurt, Kadir accuses Sejan of leading him into a mess. Then, he asks where Sejan's relationship with Nir is heading. He warns Sejan that if he breaks Nir's heart, he'll be no better than Sarap. Sejan, defeated, admits that if he weren't poor, he wouldn't have chosen this path. Kadir, disgusted, scolds him and storms out. That night, Sejan has a nightmare of Sarap humiliating him. He wakes up in a panic. One night, Nir calls him in distress, asking for help. Sejan jumps into his car and rushes to her place, only to find part of her building has caught fire. Seeing that Nir is safe, he hugs her tightly and takes her back to his home. To calm her down, he decides to cook dinner and jokingly asks what kind of pasta she likes, teasing that he might just stay the night. Nir smiles and says she feels like Sejan really cares for her. She could feel the warmth and sincerity in his hug. Sejan tries to change the subject, but eventually admits he was truly worried about her. He tells her about his mother, who died in a house fire when he was a child. He confesses that he stopped going to school after that and has carried guilt ever since. Nir falls asleep next to him on the couch, and in the morning, she rushes out to take her vocal exam. Sejan drives her to the studio and asks her to meet him after the exam. Nir promises to see him after meeting up with Helia. Meanwhile, Sejan decides to break things off with Sarap. But when he calls her, he finds out she's in the hospital. Sarap tells him she might have cervical cancer and needs more tests. She also complains about her neglectful husband. To comfort her, Sejan reassures her that he still cares for her. At the same time, Nir tries to call Sejan multiple times, but he doesn't answer. Kadir also tries to message Helia, but out of fear of his mother, Sarap, he changes his mind and spends the night using drugs in a nightclub. In the end, Sejan shows up outside Nir's window and calls her. He shouts that he's brought her strawberry cake and her favorite pasta. Nir angrily closes the window, but Sejan doesn't give up. He starts singing her favorite song and stays in the pouring rain until she forgives him. Eventually, Nir opens the window, smiles, and comes outside with an umbrella. Seeing him drenched, they both realize that their love is real, despite all the chaos and struggles they've been through. Sejan tells Nir he's been waiting for her for 2 hours and apologizes for missing their date. He explains he was at the hospital for a humanitarian cause. Nir forgives him and asks if he's ever sung that song for anyone else. Sejan says no. This was the first time he sang it for someone. Nir then asks him to stop reading her diary. Sejan takes her to his place, and they bake a strawberry cake together. But when he tries to get closer to her, he pulls away again, like he always does. When she asks why, he confesses that he thinks about her all the time, that he can't stay away from her, and that every time he looks into her eyes, he misses her even more. Yet, he says there's still a wall between them that he hasn't been able to break down. Sejan tells her that maybe she's not his first love, but she's definitely his first real love. This time, without pulling back, he leans in. Just at that moment, Sarap calls, but he ignores it, falling asleep with Nir in his arms on the couch. Meanwhile, Kadir comes home from the nightclub in a terrible state. He decides to pack his things and leave. When Sejan finds out, he chases after him. They argue, and the noise wakes Nir, but she stays inside. After the fight, Sejan finally lets Kadir go, watching him disappear into the night. At the same time, Sarap sits next to her daughter, Helia, calming her down, saying she doesn't need to worry because Kadir is out of their lives. Helia says she's not upset about Kadir anymore but is worried about her friend Nir, fearing that Sejan is controlling her. This is when Sarap realizes why Sejan hasn't been answering her calls. He's caught up with his new love, Nir. The next morning, Sejan drives Nir to her studio and is shocked to see Helia and Sarap there. They greet each other, and Nir, unaware of Sejan's connection to Sarap, remains cheerful and oblivious. Sarap, trying to get under Sejin's skin, compliments his car. Sejin politely thanks her and leaves. In the studio, Helia asks Nir why she doesn't fully trust Sejin. Nir confesses that she overheard Kadir yelling at Sejin, saying he doesn't even pay his rent or own his car with his own money. Helia wonders if there might be a woman funding Sejin's life. Nir goes silent, unsure of what to think. At the same time, Sejin returns home and finds Sarap waiting for him. He tells her he wants to leave the house and thanks her for everything, but Sarap refuses to let him go. Sejin, frustrated, says he's wanted to leave her for a long time but couldn't bring himself to do it. Sarap asks if he's in love with Nir, and when Sejin admits it, Sarap mocks him, saying he only loves her because she's young. Sejin insists it's not about her age. It's about her heart and who she is. Furious, Sarap slaps him and accuses him of betrayal. Sejin says he wanted to tell her the truth, but when he found out she was sick and went to the hospital, he decided to wait. Sarap, devastated, threatens Sejin. She tells him that if he doesn't end things with Nir, she'll tell her everything herself. But at that moment, the hospital calls. The test results are serious, and Sarap needs to come in to discuss them in person. Before leaving, Sarap asks Sejin to hold her one last time, and he reluctantly agrees. But just then, Nir arrives and sees Sarap's car outside the house. She walks in without knocking and finds them hugging on the bed. Heartbroken, Nir runs out of the house in tears, and Sejin doesn't move to stop her. Nir doesn't tell Helia the truth about Sejin and her mother. Instead, she just asks her to leave with her. Meanwhile, Kadir, spiraling out of control, sells himself to an older woman. But when the woman's husband comes home and catches them, a violent fight breaks out, and Kadir is killed. After everything falls apart, Sejin is left completely alone. He cries in the house, calling himself rotten and broken, and falls asleep in the bathtub. The next morning, he wakes up to the news of Kadir's death. Sejin buries him and, in a fit of rage and grief, destroys the car Sarap had given him. Childhood memories of his mother, who used to fall asleep with a cigarette in her hand, come flooding back. 3 years later, Sejin works as a chef in a small restaurant. One day, Nir walks in as a customer. With a gentle smile, he greets her and makes her the same pasta and strawberry cake she always loved. Nir doesn't pay for the meal. Instead, she leaves him a ticket to her concert. When Sejin looks at the concert ticket, he sees the title of the main song, the same poem Nir wrote for him 3 years ago when she was in love with him. As Nir sings on stage, Sejin realizes that maybe their story isn't over yet and the film ends there.